told you could eliminate a large percentage of the junk from your diet by just avoiding one ingredient, would you know what that ingredient is? So there are hundreds of ingredients out there, and sifting through which ones are good for us and which ones aren't can be a pretty overwhelming task. The good news is that there are some ingredients that are just plain detrimental to our health, and starting by eliminating just those few ingredients can make a really big difference in healthier eating. The hard part is that these ingredients are in a ton of food products. We're going to key in on one of these ingredients that more and more studies are showing the detrimental effects of this ingredient on our physical and mental well-being make it an ingredient worth avoiding. This ingredient is high fructose corn syrup. So let's start by busting one major myth about corn syrup, and that myth is that it's a natural product. To make corn syrup, the corn is first soaked in a weak sulfurous acid solution for about 20 to 40 hours. It is then put through multiple grinding mills and separators until the starch molecules are completely separated from all of the other parts of the corn. After this, the wet starch is mixed with hydrochloric acid and heated, which turns the starch molecules into sugar. The dextrose sugars are then converted into fructose by an enzyme, pressures, and acidity, which produces a syrup with a 42% fructose content. It can be even further processed to produce a fructose level higher than 55%. And this is the syrup that's typically used in things like candy or desserts or soda. So while it's easy to think that because corn syrup comes from corn, then it should be natural and healthy, in the end, there's really nothing natural about corn syrup except what they started with. Now, scientifically, when you look at the makeup of table sugar and corn syrup, they actually appear very similar. This could make you wonder why one is any worse than the other. There is one small difference between the two, though, that makes a world of difference to the body. Sugar is made up of 50% glucose to 50% fructose. These elements are held together by a chemical bond. High fructose corn syrup typically has similar ratios of fructose to glucose, but it is missing the chemical bond found in natural sugars. Now, while that might not seem like a big deal, that missing chemical bond causes these two products to process completely differently in the body. Because sugar is a natural product and has that chemical bond, the body recognizes it as food, and it triggers the natural digestive response. During this digestive process, two hormones are released that are really important to the whole process. These hormones are insulin and leptin. Insulin's job is to escort the glucose into our cells to be used as energy. Leptin triggers our brains that we're full and we've had enough food so that we know to stop eating. Because high fructose corn syrup is missing that bond, it isn't really recognized as food at all, and it does not trigger the natural digestive process. It's sent straight to the liver to be processed, but our livers actually weren't created to process such a high influx of fructose. This can actually stress the liver out, leading to multiple problems and diseases. Additionally, high fructose corn syrup does not trigger the release of insulin or leptin. Because of this, any glucose can cause a fast spike in blood sugar with no way to balance that out. And because leptin is never released, our brains are never triggered that we've eaten enough, which can lead us to eating more and more because our body has no idea that it's satisfied. So while too much sugar of any kind is definitely not helpful to our health, high fructose corn syrup can be especially bad news. Okay, so this all sounds pretty bad, but isn't fructose a natural sugar? Well, not exactly. Naturally occurring fructose is typically found in things such as fruit and natural sweeteners like honey and maple syrup. In this natural form, the fructose is paired with fiber, vitamins, minerals, and other nutrients. This allows our body to process the fructose more slowly and properly, creating a more sustained energy and a natural digestive process. Additionally, the fructose found in fruits is in much smaller amounts, giving our liver a more natural amount of fructose to process. On the other hand, high fructose corn syrup is completely void of any nutritional value and is just calories and sugar. All of this added up makes corn syrup look pretty bad. Sadly though, it gets worse. Many studies are beginning to link the consumption of corn syrup to multiple severe illnesses that have become really common. This includes things like cancer, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, insulin resistance, diabetes, heart disease, and leaky gut syndrome. The consumption of corn syrup can also impair our body's ability to use certain minerals that are vital for our body systems to function properly. Additionally, the increase in childhood and adult obesity directly correspond to the increase in the use of high fructose corn syrup. Along with these physical problems, studies are starting to show the effects that high fructose corn syrup can have on the brain and behavior. This includes creating symptoms usually found in those with disorders such as ADHD and ADD, as well as increasing symptoms in those dealing with those disorders. Some studies show that it can disrupt dopamine receptors, leading to changes in behavior, and it has also been linked to impaired cell communication and memory and causing your neurotransmitters to function improperly. Thankfully, many companies are starting to see the negative effects that corn syrup can have on our health and are starting to offer some healthier options. Taking steps to eliminate just this one ingredient can be a huge leap in getting the junk food out of our diet and bringing more real food in.